and welcome to episode 6 of the Let's Talk Mortgages podcast, brought to you by Green Mortgage and Protection. And this month we are talking about everything new build. So who better to have on the podcast than a local expert builder from Risby Homes, Olly Barrett. Thanks for joining us, mate.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
So you've never actually listened to a podcast, let alone been on one, have you?
No.
So you didn't really know what to expect when you sat down, did you?
No idea, no. So yeah, it's going to be interesting.
So I lied to you and told you it's just a normal conversation between two friends, so that's that's exactly what it's going to be. So
morning slot, so there's no beers involved as well. Yeah, cheers for that.
That's it. Well, we did say, didn't we? Like, I think the next one might do it in a pub, so we're a bit more relaxed. See what comes out. So yeah, obviously I know quite a bit about you. So for those that don't know who you are, give us a little bit about your background and what you do now.
Right, yeah. So we have a company called Risby Homes. We do new builds in the local area. So at the minute we've got a site in Cottingham and one in Beverley. I started, my sort of trajectory was wanting to go into veterinary. That didn't happen with the A-levels I got, so then went into construction. I've got a real good relationship with my dad, so I didn't actually want to go and work with him. So I actually went to work for his direct
the reason why you didn't want to work with him, because the relationship was good, not the other way around.
It. Yeah, no, that's it. I didn't want to spoil what we had. So I was like, right, I wanted to go and do my own thing, go and work for someone else. So I worked for his direct competition.
Yeah.
So another sort of small developer like ourselves, and then went to uni, graduated, and then I started my own company just doing extensions and alterations and what have you. And then I was
again in competition.
No, indirect. So then I got drafted in. He had a site manager that was due to leave, emigrating. So he'd asked me in for 6 months, and 16 years later, here we are.
Yeah, still in the probation period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Still get told off. Yeah.
So obviously you mentioned you've got the multiple sites now. You guys tend to focus on probably more affluent areas, I'd say. So tell us a bit about what build you've got going in those areas at the minute.
Yeah, so that's right. Yeah, we aim for the nicer locations. We try and deliver a premium product, so the location is key. Our site in Cottingham, which is just coming to an end, we've got probably 10 plots left to finish on there. So early next year we'll be finished there. We've got a site in Beverley, on Beverley Parklands, which is 35 units on there. So that's sort of halfway through, and then we've got another couple in the pipeline. So we've got a site in Walkington at the back of the Ferguson Fawcett. Great pint, by the way.
Drove past there the other day trying to see which bit you were working on, but it was a bit too quick for me to catch it.
Yeah, no, it's just at the back of there. So the entrance runs through the pub, and then we've got a site to the side of there as well. So we've got a nice site on there that's we're really excited to get on, but we're just battling planning at the minute. So that's sort of hopefully starting in the next couple of months. Then we've got another site in Cherry Burton, which we're again battling with planning, but we're hoping to put 40 or so on there, and that'll be next year. And then we've got another one in Beverley, which is sort of Victoria Road, which is near to the one that we just finished on Minster Way. There'll be 50 on there. So yeah, that's great. So yeah, we've got a full pipeline. Yeah.
So obviously I know you because we bought one of your houses last year. So as soon as I heard about Cherry Burton, me and Mrs. Green are now keeping a keen eye on what comes out there. So that'll be quite an exciting one, because obviously Cherry Burton is a lovely area. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys do there.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. That's going to be there's quite a spectrum there. So we've got quite a few bigger properties in there. There's quite a lot of complexity on that site with trees. So we're trying to be sympathetic to the area. So there's some really sort of unusual shapes and sizes on that site. So that'll be a good one.
I think that's probably something that people don't know about or probably appreciate, is probably what goes into getting a site off the ground, let alone building it, is getting a site off the ground. So what sort of things have you got to take into consideration when it comes to, first of all, finding the plot, but then getting the permission to then start the work on it?
It's ever changing. So, historically we would always work on the basis of, a year being plenty of time. But at the minute we're really struggling with planning. This sort of goalpost seems to be moving. So, because we're a small company, we haven't got the resources to be on it all the time. So it's quite sporadic in how we attack the site, moving forward. So, we do really struggle with that.
I mean, conservation areas is obviously one thing, like rights of way, current planning permissions that are in place. They're all things that you've got to navigate through just to get the okay from the council to even put a spade in the ground, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's quite, and it's really competitive. So the size that we're at, we're not able to compete with the bigger boys for the larger sites. So as a result, we get a lot of the we're scrambling for the scraps that they don't want to do. So it's one of them that naturally brings sort of more intricacy there. So a lot of the sites that are more difficult to deliver, some of the bigger boys won't put the time and effort into it, and that's where we sort of specialise. My dad's really good at finding ways through of trying to get a scheme that's as I say, sympathetic to the area, ticks all the boxes with all the planning, and we can get a good scheme on there.
Yeah, so obviously talking about new builds most of our demographic for our clients are typically first-time buyers or people going from house 1 to 2, maybe 2 to 3 as families grow. So definitely where I am, we see typically people buying new builds are that younger generation. So do you tend to see that as well?
That's quite a difficult one to answer for us, really, because we're so small. It's quite hard to pick trends. So we might get a batch of sort of fourth and fifth rungers or people downsizing, and then we might get a load of first-time buyers. The thing for us is that we try to encapsulate that full market. So we try and design our houses to be able to appeal to all ends of the spectrum. So the hard part for us is we from a branding point of view, we probably try to be the BMW or the Mercedes equivalent, and that often makes people think that it's elitist or that they can't it's expensive. But when you actually get into it, we're a lot more competitively priced than people think, and that has enabled us to be able to get a lot of first time buyers. So our, say for example, two bed houses, they all have the same spec. So our ethos is every house is the same. We don't band them all in sort of price points to what you actually get in them. So our 2-bed houses come with underfloor heating, outdoors, granite worktops, NEF appliances, the same sort of principle as the bigger plots do. So that sort of helps us. It doesn't give the same inflated costs as people would think. So that's what I want to try and market that a bit better and try and catch the full audience. And obviously, because we do customise our properties, if it's not perfect the way that we've designed it for someone, we're able to make alterations. So we get a lot of people coming in, moving walls, flipping houses upside down. We've moved kitchens upstairs, back to front. So the thing for us is that we don't say no. So hopefully that means that if we find someone that loves the product, we can work around it and deliver something that is perfect for them.
Yeah, and I guess that's probably one of the main benefits of buying new build is, obviously, first of all, everything's brand new, but then you do get that say in what goes where, how you want it designed and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, the thing, we need a USP, to differentiate ourselves from the competition. So the way that we really enjoy doing it is to give that bespoke feel and not say no. It creates a lot more work, and that's probably one of the things that inhibits sort of growth. Or a lot of people will say, oh yeah, you wanting to get bigger, or you wanting to deliver more. The way that our model works, we are at capacity. So we could have gone down a different route and said, right, we'll deliver more numbers, or we'll go bigger or faster, but we can't deliver the service that we deliver without compromising in other areas. So we've sort of stuck to our guns and try and go the customization route.
But yeah, and I think that's the strength of you guys, because I remember when we were like, I think we just started the journey of buying one of the Risby houses, and you were talking about the quality and stuff, and you said, because I'm a local builder, I live locally as well, is I'm going to pass you in the street at some point, so I want to be able to see you in the street and have that conversation and listen to you say how much you love the house, rather than, oh, you cut this corner or you didn't do that for us. So quality is obviously your USP, and I actually steal that and tell that to my clients. It's like, I live locally, so I'm going to look after you, because if I have to see you in the street and you come to me and say you didn't do your job properly, we're going to have a bit of an issue. So I actually stole that from you.
Yeah, that's good.
But I remember when we designed our kitchen and the flooring, it was almost like, I thought going to Subway was overwhelming, and it's like, do you want this, do you want that, do you want that? And then you go to the kitchen showroom and you're like, oh my God, there's like so many colours, so many finishes, so many little things you can get put in. And then I was like, right, I think we're finished now. And it's like, right, now it's door handles. I'm like, oh wow, it's like we're there for like 4 hours.
Yeah.
And then because we put it all together ourselves, we're like, when we came around the week before we moved in and saw the finished product, I said to my wife, I was like, if this looks crap, we've got no one else to blame but us, because we have picked all of it, and we walked in, it looked stunning. I was like, oh, thank God for that.
They're amazing. So yeah, Carl at BMS, I'll give him a plug. Yeah,
BMS.
Yeah, exactly. They are amazing. We've used them. We've done every house with them. So yeah, we've worked with them for 30 odd years, and they are amazing. The showroom, they just had the showroom redone as well. So it is.
Might go for a nosy, just
it's worth it.
It's like an adult playground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we get people just coming into the show house just to get ideas for putting a new kitchen in or whatever. So
yeah,
that's.
I remember, like I said to my wife, I was like, well, I'll take an hour out of work and no problem. The full morning had gone, and it's like, yeah, this has been brilliant. Like, we came out absolutely beaming, and then we put everything together, and so besides obviously having that choice of, say, colour of the carpets, like you can choose colour of walls, type of kitchen you want, what other benefits would you say there are to like going new build as opposed to buying something like second-hand, pre-loved as it were?
I think probably the big one, the hot topic at the minute is probably the running costs, so energy efficiency. The new regs are really stringent. So there's upgraded insulation, solar panels, all the water usage calculators have been wound right down. The air tightness, so the properties are so much more well sealed now. That is that's a massive factor. So the energy usage, maintenance, I would say as well. That's probably a good one. There's no timber products really externally, so a lot of the maintenance has been taken out of the equation as well.
Yeah, that's one thing we found, like from the mortgage point of view, is because majority of new builds now have got like an EPC of like A or B. A lot of lenders now offer energy efficient products which have either got a better interest rate, a ton of cash back, which helps with like the legals and things like that, or both. So there's actually like financial savings on your mortgage as well as your actual running costs as well. We've got our underfloor heating on now, which is absolutely amazing. When you come downstairs at 6 o'clock in the morning, it's real toasty. But yeah, our running bills are like next to nothing. So in terms of like once you've bought the house, what you've got left each month in terms of running costs and money is fantastic for new build. So obviously when it comes to new build as well, there's the certain schemes that are involved now where that like to incentivise people getting on the ladder now. We're talking before this, obviously Help to Buy, the equity loan is no longer a thing. So have you seen any difference since that's gone, or has there been no difference at all?
We had a good bit of momentum. So when the Help to Buy scheme came out, there were a few teething problems with us because obviously we're a small setup. We didn't have all the registration info in place. So when that first came about, we had a few hiccups, and then once we gained traction, it was great because there was a good bit of momentum through there. I don't know if I fully believe in the how it was used, because there was a lot of people buying bigger houses, which I don't know if that was the intention of the scheme in the first place. But from a developer's point of view, it was great because we were getting sales through. The historic one, so the stamp duty one back in COVID, that was great. That gave gave sort of fluidity throughout the full ladder. So it was really good. It just gave a sort of new injection of confidence, and that's what we needed. I think one of the main issues that we have with moving sales forward is the proceedability. So if we have someone that comes in, wants to buy a house, it's very rare that they come in a proceedable position with, you know, cash or whatever. A lot of them have related sales, and that's the thing that sort of stagnates our process. So something that would you know, lubricate all the cogs throughout would be a good thing for us. That'd be, yeah, if something like that came about. There's the new schemes that are coming through. There's the First Home scheme, which is part of the affordable conditions that are being imposed in new applications. So we haven't actually got any of those in yet, but on our future sites, that's what we're looking at, and they give a 30% discount on market rate. So that's quite a good one. I think that'll be a nice scheme to have there.
Yeah, I think that one's kind of like replaced the Help to Buy scheme, hasn't it? Because the Help to Buy would give you like a 20% contribution, whereas it's going to give you a 30% contribution. So it's kind of like been like a like for like change, a bit like Help to Buy ISA has now been replaced by the Lifetime ISA. So the government's changing kind of like with the times. But yeah, I think kind of like what you're saying about the implementation of it is government has a really good idea, let's do that, and then you're getting the nuts and bolts of it and how it actually works, and it's all the things that they want to do aren't set up correctly sometimes, or it's pretty painful to get them in place.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there are the other sort of schemes that are coming in. There's other bits from the planning side of it. So, for example, the Part L regs that I was mentioning earlier on, the energy efficiency side of it, that's great from a homeowner's point of view, because it gives, you know, obviously more energy efficiency, but it's effectively a tax on a developer. So it's increased our build cost by we think 8%,
right?
Which that comes off our, you know, that comes off our bottom line, because there's no uplift in value. The house is worth what it's worth, irrespective of what you put in it. So it just means it adds onto our build cost. So that's been a bit of a tough one from a developer's point of view. Another sort of scheme that's coming at planning stage is the biodiversity net gain. So that's on new schemes coming forward.
Yeah.
But that's something that we've been doing a lot on that already. So we've all of our sites, we're quite passionate about the ecological and conservation issues anyway. So we've always tried to do what we can. We've got a site in Beverley that we're working on at the minute where we've got a woodland nature trail through there, and we're working with some schools and nurseries and some scout groups and a couple of mental health charities where we've got a load of bird box. We put 120 bird boxes up, for example, last month to try and get a bit of usage out of the area and trying to give some community and ecological benefits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As you kind of touched on it then, like people always say like, what makes a house more expensive? And like you say, if you build a house in one area or you build it in the other, the cost to you is probably the same. So it's not the actual cost of building the house, it's more the location that causes that spike in property prices. Location is everything, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And there's other intricacies that come in there as well, but generally that comes off the land value. So whether there's you know, all of the you know, highway improvements, or whether there's, you know, drainage improvements or commuted sums, all that sort of thing. Everything's site specific.
Yeah, so I say house price normally is first of all location, but what makes the good location? It's the they call them the fundamentals, don't they? It's like, are there any good schools in the area? Transport links, are you near bus routes or the motorway or things like train lines, things like that, which, looking at where you guys tend to develop, you tend to hit those spots like Cottingham, Beverley. They're all on train lines. A lot of employers in the area. So yeah, things like that will naturally put a house price up, won't they? Because they're more desirable because it's an easy place to live.
Yeah, absolutely. So those are sort of the tangible ones that you can you know, checklist them off, but there's also the sort of feel of it as well. So, you know, we sort of get involved from the early stage in making sure that it feels right. So it's got to feel like a nice place as well.
Yeah,
and you can't really quantify that. It's all subjective.
And I think that's kind of what you were saying earlier about, you live locally, you have to see these people, is you want to turn out a product where your rule will be, well, would I live there? If I wouldn't live there, then it's not going out. That it has to pass that test, doesn't it? And I think that's kind of the same of what landlords should do as well. I think landlords get a bad name because there's some that'll just repaint it, not think about the damp, they'll paint over the damp and get the next tenant in, whereas the landlords that tend to look after the properties get better tenants, paying more, staying longer, less issues. So yeah, there's definitely value until putting a good product out there and people will respect it, won't they?
Yeah, I mean the intent. Yeah, it's longevity. I mean, it sounds really cliche, but yeah, it's one of those wanting to deliver homes that people genuinely love. It's of course we're in it to make money, but you know there's a really big part of it is that family ethos and wanting to create the communities and the family spaces.
I was going to say that's probably one thing I've noticed about where we are is you must like drive past and think you have created a community there, because you've got neighbours, you'll have like kids that grow up playing together, you'll have people that will have kids while they're there, and so yeah, to think that you essentially created like this little bubble somewhere, and it must be quite a nice feeling.
It's great, you know. We've got we love it when we get, you know, second customers back in. You know, we've got one instance where we've got 3 generations in our properties. We've got our site in Beverley. We've had 2 different sets of people that have moved within the same site, and they've basically moved 1 or 2 rungs up the ladder, and they've had some nice asset appreciation there as well. So that's been a nice thing to see.
Yeah.
The community side of it we try and, you know, engage with Christmas lights, you know, where you are, you know, we'll put Christmas lights up and try and get everyone involved, and hopefully that carries on a nice little tradition. Where I live, I live in one of our developments, and yeah, we do the same thing. You know, it's just a real nice. Yeah, we've got a day in the diary booked out for doing some mulled wine. One house does mulled wine, one will do some beers, one will do some food, and yeah, we'll just get together and put Christmas lights up and have a get together. So that's a real nice feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of a testament to how nice your houses are, because you live in one yourself, so it's not like they're all right, I'm going to go live somewhere else. So yeah, testament to your work. So obviously, other than the schemes that are available to help buy new builds, low maintenance, energy efficiency, things like that, is every new build now has done for a number of years now, comes with a warranty. So tell us a little bit about how the warranties like work for new builds.
So yeah, it's basically an insurance policy that's there to protect the customer's investment. So it's peace of mind, a safety net, so that if there are ever any issues there, there's someone there to catch it. So the 2 warranty providers that we use are NHBC and Premier Guarantee. NHBC have got the market share, definitely. But yeah, we're using Premier at the minute, and they're great. I don't really know too much about the other options out there, but certainly we would only go down those 2 routes.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the lending side, they are the 2 most common, and they are the ones that lenders like to see because of the reputation they've got. So I think when you buy a house and it's got that stamp on it, it gives you that peace of mind, because the warranty lasts for 10 years, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So you get 10 years. Years 1 and 2 are any snag. So, I mean, things like if you're using it every day, things are going to deteriorate, or it might be there's like a bit of a teething problem when you first move in, so that gets sorted in the first 2 years. And then years 3 to 10 are just purely structural, aren't they?
Yeah, that's right. So we're a pretty good customer for the NHBC, I would view, because I don't know who's the idiot in this instance, but we in the 30 years that we've been trading, we've had 1 claim, and that's not saying that we had no snags or whatever it is. Of course, you know, issues happen. We have had snags, but we generally rectify them ourselves. So if there's ever been an issue, it's been a case of we'll deal with it and sort it, and it's not a case of having to go through the bureaucratic process of waiting to get inspectors and surveyors out. So we've always dealt with it ourselves. So to be honest, how the sort of first few years work is a bit sort of vague for us, because we'll generally deal with it ourselves. Yeah,
I think you're paying for Premier's Christmas due every year, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Do you think that's based on the work that you do up front? So obviously, like subsidence, things like that. That's what's going to cause you structural issues. If you've done your research and put measures in place from day 1, you can mitigate stuff like that happening.
Yeah, I think it's down. I mean, it's down to the whole build process. So we compete in the various competitions. So the Pride in the Job Awards, we always try and compete in there. Our last site at Beverley won a Pride in the Job there. We've won several awards at our Cottingham site with Premier Guarantee.
Mm-hmm.
So that naturally gives us. I mean, we love competition anyway, but it's one of those. It naturally gives you a sort of marking sheet to work to and to strive for the next level of excellence, really. So we're in doing that, it helps to create a better product. So because we're a small team, we've got the same guys that have been with us for donkeys. So we know what we can turn out, and that's another reason why we don't want to grow. We know we have consistency. The guys that are doing it have been doing it day in, day out. They know that they're not getting away with, you know, cutting corners. So that in turn enables us to deliver a good product, and you don't get the same issues. The problems that you get are generally down to human error, where it's going, you know, things are going too quickly, it's not monitored properly, and a corner's cut, and that's why you'll get an issue. And one of our things that we try and do, we've got a really good site management team, is being on top of that at the build stage, and hopefully that looks after the future product.
Yeah, because I can imagine that the bigger sites, there's a tighter deadline, you're doing more work, so it's like you're cramming it in. So I think the bigger the site, the more chance there is of that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I would probably say on the contrary, actually. So the bigger sites are probably easier to run because everything's all set up, so you can work your program out quite logically. Whereas when you're on a smaller site, it's quite hard to get the start right. So unless you have everything in place at the start to then run a program, there's a lot more sort of margin for error, a lot more uncertainty. When you get settled into a site, it can run off like a nice conveyor belt. So you'll get that consistency.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's sort of pros and cons on each, really.
Yeah. So can you give people like an insight into kind of like the timeline of a new build? So obviously for people buying a house, whether you're buying something through an agent that somebody else has lived in, it can feel like it takes a while. And I think the solicitors get a bad rap because things are taking a while, or it's the legals, but things have to be done right a certain way. So what's I'm not going to nail you to this. What's a typical time frame for a customer coming in, wanting to reserve a house, to them getting the keys? In an ideal world, what is the time frame for that?
So there is no pattern to this, and it never ever happens in the way that you think it does. So it should be really logical and follow a nice sort of chronological order, but it never does. We went. This is I've actually got some notes in front of me on this, because we developed a customer journey document for this process, because there was the main thing is communication of people knowing what each step is and when they should be doing each part, and that's basically where we like to, you know, get that the hands held and go through everything, you know, go through all the details, so that there's nothing coming as a shock.
Yeah.
So on paper, right, this is no time scale. So people come into view, decide they like the property. Well, that'll, you know, it's rare that we'll get someone that'll go, I'll have it straight away. We like to get people back over a few different visits, so that they've got they know for sure that they're wanting it. We'll then send them to Green and Green for some sound mortgage advice. They'll then obviously know whether it's know what's achievable. We'll then take a reservation fee to give exclusivity. So there'll be £2,000 reservation fee. Yeah. So that then comes off the market, providing, you know, everything ticks out at our end and they're all qualified and all the rest of it. Yeah. Then we will. I'm going to have to look at this here, because this is this all just throws. It's all numbered 1 to 9, and it goes 1, 8, 5. You know, it just never seems to work. So communication is one of the main things. So it's just a case of holding hands throughout that. Yeah. In that we'll then make all the extras sort of requests. So whether that's moving walls, whether that's something simply as moving electrical socket or whatever. Yeah. There's all our bespoke choices. So our kitchens, bathrooms, tiling, flooring, all of those can be picked bespoke. So it's not just a case of going, right, here's your 5 choices. Everything is booked as appointments at all the various places. Yeah. That then comes through. We'll then try and do some site visits, so we get people into the house. We try to get some engagement from the customer. If ideally they'd be buying in an early stage so they can see the full build process, and we quite like to do the educational side of it and get people in, seeing the different stages. Try and get kids involved, so you get a bit of a bond with the house. So we'll have kids involved and say, right, yeah, before a bathroom's tiled, they can write their names on. You know, we just did one the other week where there's a little girl came in and we drew a little silhouette of her and she drew herself on the wall, and try and get that bond with the house.
Yeah.
They'll then probably want to make some changes at that point, so we'll go back and quote extras again. This is the laughable one here. So exchange of contracts. So
yeah.
I don't even know why we waste the ink in writing this, but the theory is that after 28 days of reservation, we have an exchange of contracts.
Yeah.
As I say, complete waste of ink, but we just try and get it there. We're working on probably 8 weeks at best.
Yeah. That's the difficult bit in it, exchange of contracts, because once you exchange contracts, that's it. You are legally bound to proceed on both sides. So
absolutely, yeah.
If you've not got your mortgage offer in place, then obviously we would be advising clients don't exchange yet, because you don't have 90% of the money that you need to buy this house. So, but then that gives both you and the buyer that peace of mind, knowing, okay, this house is mine now because of exchange. So that's usually probably the key part of the process.
That's the most integral part of our whole process. So if it's really difficult for us because we're a small setup, so we haven't got the resources to be able to go work on that plot, or get everything ready and sit it on the shelf. So because of the bespoke nature that we have, we need to know that we have a customer that's committed to a house. So before we knock a wall down or do whatever we're doing, we need to know that these people are wanting to progress. And as I say, it works both ways. They want the security that we're going to deliver when we say we will, but we're always realistic with our dates, so we never try to overpromise. So we will always give a long stop date, and we'll try and then work back in. So we should be able to get exchanges on the basis of a long stop date, and then say, for example, two weeks notice. But as I say, the communication's the key here.
Yeah.
And we'll always keep them informed throughout the full process. So that exchange part is crucial. I mean, I don't know when we will ever nail this process, but that is the thing. If we hit 28 days, then I will be extremely happy.
Yeah. I mean, we always get asked, like, the minute a mortgage application goes in, the first question is, when do I get the keys? And I was like, I am one cog in this machine. It's like, you've got your solicitor, you've got the agents, you've got the builder, you've got everyone involved. But, like you said, it's that communication that comes down, because it's quite a long process. If you go 3 or 4 weeks without hearing anything, you instantly start panicking and fearing the worst, don't you? So one thing I noticed with you guys compared to other developers that we do work with is the flexibility on that exchange. We have some people where big national builders, they've obviously got shareholders to keep happy, they've got sales targets, okay, you've shown an interest, can you get your mortgage application in, want to exchange in 28 days, but your house isn't ready for a year? And I was like, well, then everything falls apart, because your mortgage is only valid for 6 months. So then I'm redoing the work again. Rates are going to change. Their situation might change. Whereas if you just give a little bit of leeway, it can take so much stress out of that entire process.
Yeah, definitely. But it's one of those where they've got it smooth. You know, it's one of them. If they can. I think because we're flexible and because we don't say no, it does make it a lot harder for ourselves, but it's what we do. So.
It makes my life easier, so I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, the hard thing for us is sort of managing the stock. As I say, because we're a small setup, we can't afford to just have every house just sat on the shelf ready for someone to decide when they move in. So the main thing that we have is getting that exchange date, and then we can then go, right, we can work towards a completion date. We know where to put our resources and ultimately spend our money. Because the other thing is, even when a plot is sat ready, there's still, we want them to be crisp, perfect. So they're never finished. So even if you say, right, build them all, lock them up, we've still got work to go back in and make sure everything is perfect. All the decorating's crisp. Everything works. So it's a bit of a sort of juggling act, really. So I suppose the next thing from the our sequence of events quite easy from there, really. So we've got we have the new home tours or demos, and that's basically a case of people coming around, going through all their bits and bobs of how the kitchen works, the alarms, the heating, all that sort of thing. Because we used to do that sort of on the near the completion date, and everyone's that excited they don't take any of it in.
Yeah.
And then it's a bit chaotic. So we'll do the home demo there. We can then go through any potential issues they've got with any potential snagging we've got. The house isn't complete at this point, but it's 99% there. So if there's a few bits and bobs that people want changing, generally you'll get someone that come in and say, I want that socket moving there to there, which we then say, of course you can, and then that gets...
Wish you told me that 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll go back in, do whatever we need to do, and then it's a case of legal completion, handing the keys over, and then it's the sort of communication aftercare thereafter that's important to us as well. So we've got a great before and after sales team, and they're sort of on the ball with checking everything's okay, even if it's just a courtesy call of making sure people are happy, if they've got the milk, if they've got the, all the sort of necessities, if they've got the champagne on ice and what have you. But, it's a case of going through that and dealing with any issues, because we do get snags. There'll be bits and bobs that come through. We have bits where people have banged walls as they're going through, and we'll be trying to send someone in as soon as possible. Getting things touched up and dealt with, so it's nice and smooth.
Yeah, and I'm guessing as well, if you're getting pressure from buyers as well, because they might be in a chain or they're just that desperate to get in, you want to turn out the best product possible. And you're like, oh Christ, now I've got to run around and do this. Like, some things are going to get missed, and that's where the warranty comes in, that's where the aftercare comes in and things like that.
Yeah.
So we've reserved the house, we've chosen our extras, we've got the mortgage in place, we've exchanged, obviously we've now moved in. 10-year warranties there to look after us. So I was kind of like, we're talking about schemes and like regulations now. You guys are bound by regulations that change all the time in terms of where you can build, how you build, what materials you use, that sort of thing. So what sort of regulation changes have you seen in the last couple of years, and what do you see coming down the pipeline?
I mean, the big one for us is the Part L one, so the building regs change. There's been a new one that's sort of caught us. I say new one, it's a new one to me. Part O, which is overheating. So there's a load of calculations that are basically done to tell you to open a window when your house gets too hot.
Right.
But that's a ridiculous one that I feel has been snuck in there. I'm trying to think.
But then you can't win with that, because they want energy efficient homes.
Yeah.
They want everyone to be nice and warm in the winter, and it's like, oh, you're a bit too warm now. Open the window and let all that heat out. So it's like, how do you win?
Yeah, exactly. Well, we obviously like large windows. We have a lot of glazing in our houses, so they're all make use of the natural light. And you then, as a result, you'll then potentially get overheating, and as a result of the windows being large, you often have to put guardrails on because because they now fall into a new height restriction. So we had to go and put guardrails on windows, for example, or opening restrictions, so that people can't then fall out. So it's ever changing. It's an interesting one in that respect.
Yeah, one of the big ones we saw was obviously after the back of the Grenfell disaster around like the cladding issues.
Yeah.
Obviously, it probably doesn't apply to you guys, but like the high-rise flats, there's like a lot of changes around what you can and can't use for cladding and things. So, has there been like any changes in terms of like what materials you guys have to use, and if it slowed down your process at all?
The Grenfell one has been a massive. Well, I say obviously it's a massive issue down south, but we don't really do a lot with cladding. But part of the sort of fire regs have come through. A lot of the products that we're using are heavily scrutinised, so you've got to go through a lot of sort of rigorous testing with things like fire foams and with fire doors. We don't do a lot of 3-storey houses now, but when we were doing 3-storey houses, they were really hard work because all the margins were so tight. Everything had to be millimetre perfect. So there was a lot involved in that, but. The material choices are a lot more controlled now.
Yeah, and I think just kind of like we're talking about what makes a good builder, what makes a poor builder. So if you were if someone wasn't coming to Risby for a new build, what would you say to a would-be buyer if they were test running a developer? What sort of questions would you be asking them, or what would you be looking out for?
So I would say spec's quite an important one. So I would be paying attention to what is actually in the property as standard. So most show houses will give you a really nice display of extras and what have you, and you don't always get the clarity of what's actually included in your original price. So I'll be looking at that. Things like the spec of your appliances, sanitary ware, brassware, just looking at things like the warranties that come with them. A lot of the things that are in show houses, for example, are all upgrades. We like
which
to try
wouldn't come in a standard house.
Exactly, which will then, because once they get the reservation through, you're then a captive audience, so the prices then are then pretty astronomical. So it's one of those where I would look at that at the early stage.
Yeah.
The big one for me is sizing. So it's a case of comparing apples with apples. So for a 4-bed house, for example, the sizes obviously vary. A lot of the developers don't actually illustrate what the square footage is. So we try and be absolutely transparent so that it's easy to break down the price per square foot and then therefore determine the value. A lot of the bigger boys will charge a lot more than us on a pro rata basis. So even though we have an elevated spec, they achieve more for their for each square foot of the house. So we often get people that come in and say, well, I can get that 4-bed house there for less than you've got there, and it's a tough one for us in sort of illustrating what that uplifting cost is. Obviously all the tangible extras are really easy, but without showing the square footage it's quite a difficult one. So it's just a case of looking at the sizing. Some of our 3 beds are the same size as some of the 4 beds, for example, at the competition. So that's probably the main one. I think it's the size.
And that's how you guys price the price of new builds when they go onto the market, is on the square footage.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So how do you work that out? Because like from a mortgage point of view, touch wood, I've never had a new build that's come back down valued. So you guys tend to get it bang on. So is there like a science behind it?
That's because we're really good value. So yeah, because we're too cheap.
Not selling them for enough.
It is industry standard really. So. There's generally a model for each area. It's just a case of doing the competitor analysis, really.
Because people wonder like, oh well, can I negotiate the price? And it's like we would often say, well, not really, no, because it has been valued for that reason. And then I think some buyers don't understand, especially if it's the first time they've done it, is there's a business there that has paid to build this house. Like, yes, they're going to sell it on us at a profit because that's what we all do in business. That's how we all pay our bills. But I think sometimes they're like, oh, can I knock them right down? It's like, well, no, because there's got to be a margin there, otherwise everything falls apart, doesn't it? Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's down to the discretion of whoever's selling it. So. We don't really incentivize. Our prices are very competitive, and we do have an elevated spec. But it's just a case of if there's a stock plot, for example, we might throw some basic incentives in there. But the sort of 5%, we never really get around that. Down to that sort of. That level where we're priced competitively for that reason.
And I think that's the thing as well, like whether it be buying a house or buying anything, you get what you pay for. Usually you buy cheap, you buy twice. So yes, the 5% incentive is there. Not every developer does it. Sometimes they don't need to because the product speaks for itself, or some other developers they can throw that in if they decide to, can't they? But again, that's probably another question to ask if you're speaking with a developer. One of the things I would probably ask a developer is the time frames. Is if they're pushing you to submit something now which isn't ready for 12 months, that's a potential, not red flag, but it's something that's probably going to cause you stress in the future. So when you guys release your plots, how far in advance would you be looking?
We don't go too far. So basically, because we're a small family business, the decisions can be made, in house. It's not a case of having to get shareholders to please or whatever. So all of our releases are in small batches, and we'll release them when we know that we can deliver them on the deadlines that we need to.
Yeah.
So if we released a full site, there could be massive flexibility in when we can actually deliver them, and all you're doing is annoying people at that point. So yeah, it'd be great to get the bums on seats and put red stickers everywhere and say everything's sold, but you're then chasing a problem if we have delays on site, which it's very rare that you get things done faster than you think. It's always slower than you anticipate. So all of our projected dates have a load of contingency built in there, and we can generally pull them forward because we're not having to satisfy certain deadlines or certain numbers. It doesn't really matter to us. The main thing for us is delivering what we say we'll deliver. Yeah. So that's why we'll release, say, 5 plots or 10 plots at a time.
Yeah. So that lead time's not too long.
Yeah, we can't work to a year or 2 years in advance because there's too much margin for error in there.
Well, yeah, because I think 12 months from now, house prices are going to change, mortgage interest rates are going to change, that's going to change like the market, incentives might change from the government. So obviously we've lost Help to Buy now. The affordable housing scheme is there now, but there's going to be a change for that, there's whispers. Yeah.
So new applications coming forward, they'll be the reducing from 25 to 20%. I mean, it'll be site specific. There'll be there's all sorts of different criteria.
That's 25% of the plots that you sell on one particular site.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's going to go down to 20% next year.
Yeah, that's right. And then there's different categories of affordable housing. So there's affordable rent, there's then shared equity, and then there's the sort of first home scheme, which is a 30% discount of market rate.
Yeah, which has replaced Help to Buy, kind of essentially. It's like for like. Help to Buy ISAs have now gone to be replaced with lifetime ISAs. So the government is changing things all the time. We've got the budget at the time of recording, 12 days from now. So is there anything you're expecting coming out of that's going to have any impact on what you guys do?
I've got no way. We just roll with the punches, to be honest with you.
It's not like anything we can do about it, is
there?
Yeah,
that's it. It's one of those. It is what it is. It's the same thing with the planning system. All the hype and talk about how we're going to deliver more houses and it's going to be an easier system. I've got no idea when that's actually going to happen.
Every government has said that, don't they?
Yeah, that's it. The system is broken. It needs a real shake-up, and it's for the likes of us. The small companies, we're really, really struggling with it.
Yeah, which makes you think that they're going to bring eventually some sort of new scheme, a bit like the Help to Buy, which brought an influx of like new buyers into the market because 2003, the Barker report came out. An economist worked out that to meet demand, not alone exceed demand, we need to build 300,000 new houses a year. I think the most we've ever had is about 150,000, so that gap is getting bigger and bigger, which is why people will always need somewhere to live. Houses are also one of the safest investments you can make. We live on a small island, it ain't getting any bigger. Yeah. So touch wood, hopefully something will come along which will make my life and your life that little bit easier. So we've been chatting for quite a while now, so we'll just to wrap up, I know you said it at the beginning, but if we want to come and have a nosy around Risby House, we want to buy a new build, remind us which sites you've got on the go at the minute.
Yeah, so we've got a show house at the minute in Cottingham, which will be we'll have that for the next probably eight months or so. So yeah, welcome. Yeah, we welcome anyone coming down for a wander. Ideally, bring the wife, and then you get. We know how that goes. You get roped into buying a new house. So
that's what happened for me. Yeah. My wife found the house online. Typical husband thing. I'll go if it makes you happy.
Yeah, just exactly.
Like, yeah, okay, whatever. We're not buying it, but we'll go have a look. And then we got in the car, and I was like. Oh. She's like, you like it, don't you? I was like, yeah, I love it. I was like, that was an expensive day out for me. That.
Yeah, it happens to all of us. Yeah, that's how it works. So yeah, we welcome people around, even if it's a case of not being interested. As I say, even if we can't, provide something on a particular site we've got them in it, we're in it for the long game. So we might be able to cater for someone in the future.
Is the show home at Beverley still there, or is that
no? So we haven't got one at Beverley now. We've got our Figham Gate site at Beverley Parklands. I don't think we're going to put a show house there because we're selling pretty quickly there, to be honest. I think our next show home will probably be at our Walkington site, but we've got quite a few reserved there at the minute. That's been a really popular site. There's we don't know what we're building yet, but we've got names all over that. So that's great. So I don't know if we'll actually deliver one there. So I'm trying to get the maximum usage out of the Cottingham show house while we've got it. I mean, that is great. I'm really proud of what we've done there. It's a really nice product.
So other than coming to see the show home in Cottingham, where can would you rather us find Risby, or would you personally probably Risby? speak to the sales girls.
Yeah, no, the sales girls are much better than me at it. So yeah, we've got Amanda, Carol, and Jemima in the show house. And they're great. They'll be able to answer anything.
And if we want to have just a nosy online, you guys are on Instagram, Risby Homes.
Yeah, all the social media, and then our website, risbyhomes.co.uk.
Perfect. So obviously we would encourage everyone to buy a house of yours like I did, and use us for the advice, obviously.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, really enjoyed chatting today, mate. Thank you very much for coming on. Lost your podcast virginity. You might start listening to something. Who knows? You might even listen to this one.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, thank you everybody for watching. That's episode 6 of the Let's Talk Mortgages podcast, brought to you by Green and Green. Next month we have Bradley Martin, professional rugby player, formerly of Castleford Tigers, now signed for Lee Leopards, talking about finishing playing rugby, preparing for life after rugby, getting mortgages as a professional sportsman. So look out for that, and thank you for listening.